Alluvion is a collaborative full-length album between Mizmor and Hell, two pretty well-known extreme doom metal groups from Oregon. Both Hell and Mizmor kind of burst out of the Willamette Valley and the Salem and Eugene area, where they played in Sorceress, a stoner doom metal group based out of Eugene. They both had black metal projects that cropped up after that point. Mizmor and Hell are kind of their main avatars for exploring extreme doom metal, which often involves harsh noise, strong atmosphere, and in the case of Mizmor, more of a atmospheric black metal influenced sound. In the case of MSW and Hell, it's something that was maybe more attuned to extreme doom metal from a stoner doom metal point of view. You definitely heard those stronger, fuzzier guitar tones on the early stuff, and they became more experimental with each release. These guys have worked together on many projects over the years. They each play in each other's live band, from what I understand, or have in the past. Overall, they obviously work well together. They've obviously worked together a lot, and a lot of these sensibilities are reasonably shared within a split LP. Rather than detail any of the histories of either band or go into where they relate, all of that is very obvious at this point. What I would say is that I've reviewed a lot more Mizmor than I have Hell. It's been a while since we've heard from Hell. To me, this feels a lot more like Mizmor helping Hell make an album. And I know that's not the case, but this really does feel more like a Hell record than it does a Mizmor record, apart from the second half where there are some points that feel a lot more like Prosaic. Before I get ahead of myself, we'll cut to a clip and I'll talk a little bit more about what makes this both interesting and pretty cool as a project, but also valuable as an addition to both discographies. So if you're a black metal fan, or if you're a death doom metal fan, I don't necessarily think that you're going to get what you want out of this record in terms of the note count. And what I mean is that there aren't a ton of riffs on this record. You probably count them on one hand. For the most part, there are 4 songs here. 2 of them are interstitial vignettes, extended meditative pieces, and 2 of them are long form, larger pieces that make up each half of the record. The point is that there aren't a ton of riffs here. If you're not here for subtlety, atmospheric sludge metal, bigger riffs, fuzzier sounds, a lot of this is more about sound design and the sonic torment that they both create in the realm of sludge metal and extreme sludge metal, and that's really the reason to show up for this record. So if you're looking for atmospheric black metal infused into sludge metal, or you're looking for purely experimental noise applied to sludge metal, this is much more of a curated event that does 2 things and does them very well. Approaching this record was very easy. There's 2 main songs. They're each about 10 minutes. They follow a fairly representative vision of sludge metal that takes care to show off both what Hell does and what Mizmor does in both separate and collective ways. And so they kind of take turns on this album. Hell kind of goes first. With that first song, you can definitely, if you're familiar with the first Hell album, you'll kind of feel that comeback, a little bit of that nuclear guitar tone and the fieriness of it. And the riff definitely wanders in a certain way that you'll appreciate if you're a fan of Hell. And the second song definitely cuts into some of the more mid-paced black metal influenced side of Mizmor's latest album, Prosaic. So you get a feeling that this is where both bands were at this time, and you kind of catch right up with where they are through this LP. As a reasonable fan of both bands, I appreciated this LP because it highlights what each band does well and just simply puts it out. They work well together and their styles meld together naturally. So obviously it all kind of works that way. If you're a fan of this kind of thing, or you're a fan of either band, I don't know how you could go wrong with this record. From my point of view, there just wasn't enough of it. There wasn't enough rhythm in this music to really bring me back time and time again. But ultimately, I had to concede this is a very good, very well designed record, and if you're looking for atmospheric sludge in an extreme fashion, this is a great example of it. And especially if you're looking for something that is modern, it's a rare case of a collaboration between between popular artists that makes sense and works and ends up with something that adds something to their discography and isn't just an experiment. And for that reason, it gets a higher score for me. It gets a high recommendation for me. Go ahead and check that out for yourself and read my review for more of my thoughts.